Perfect. Okay. All right. Welcome to the Exposing Scum Landlords Project Ontario channel. My name is Aaron Crane. I am one of the founders of the project. So today, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be going over um, the law regarding shared accommodations, or more accurately, the lack of law covering shared accommodations and recent trends in shared accommodations. Simply because at this moment I am trying to find housing. I have till the end of this month, and I have not been able to find anything for several reasons. One, I do identify as transgender, and I am refusing to detransition and go back into the closet, uh, and am receiving a lot of transphobia. Um, and The other thing is obviously um, finances. I'm on Ontario Works. I can only afford about $500 a month. Uh, so yeah, okay. So and basically, since my budget is that, I am just looking strictly for a room, and doing so, I've come across a lot of barriers. So uh, for those who don't know, resident or shared accommodations in this case means accommodations. You know, if you're a renter, tenant, boarder who shares a kitchen or bathroom with the landlord or person you're seeking rent, uh, paying rent to. I say this because you're not just technically paying a landlord. You could be paying like somebody who is on the lease, and you're sharing the apartment with them, and you're paying your rent to them instead of directly to whoever actually owns the building or unit. So from here on out, I'll simply be referring to that person that receives the rent directly from you as the rent seeker. Um, we don't like to use the term landlord here on this channel, even though it's in our name. We simply use it because it's more identifying than rent seeker. Rent seeker means somebody who is in the business of renting residential apartments or seeking rent for their apartments. Um, so yeah, okay. So in the case where you share the space, kitchen, bathroom, and I'll just say space from now on with the rent seeker, you're exempt from both the Residential Tenancies Act in Ontario as well as the Ontario Human Rights Code. This is problematic for for a few reasons. We're gonna start with the not being included or in any way under the Residential Tenancies Act to start, and then we'll go into the human rights aspect, and then we're going to discuss trends that are new trends, old trends that are kind of going on within the shared accommodations. So for the fact that tenancies are exempt under the Residential Tenancies Act. Um, if you look at my browser, uh, exemptions from exemptions from the Act. This Act does not apply to, and this is the RTA itself. So Residential Tenancies Act of 2006. Now I'll have to find that again. Okay. Okay. There. So once again, exemptions. This does not apply to. Uh, okay. So provision I. Living accommodations whose occupant or occupants are required to share bathroom or kitchen facility with the owner, the owner's spouse, child, parent, or the spouse's child or parent. And where the owner, spouse's child, or parent lives in the building, read that as unit in which the living accommodation is located. So house, apartment unit, you know. So when I refer to rent seeker, I'm also just include in your mind uh, owner, spouse, child, parent, or spouse, so on and so forth. Okay. Uh, so yeah, uh, lives in the building. Yeah. So there. All right, and also you can look here. Um, so a tenant who shares a kitchen or bathroom with the owner or family does not have a legal right to remain on the premises without the owner's consent. This is the big one. This is the big issue. If the person you're renting from, your rent seeker, etc., tells you that you have to leave, you have to leave. If they say get out now, you have to leave now. So say you're my renter, I'm your rent seeker. I walk up to you just out of the blue. Hey, Joe, you got to get out. I can't have you here anymore. You got to get out. And they don't have to give you a reason. They don't have to give you an explanation. And they don't have to give you time to pack. They can literally at that point call the police to have you escorted off the property, because at that point it becomes trespassing and it falls under the Trespass Properties Act, which police must enforce. So this means that uh, you might be able to get time if you're not fighting with your landlord to get in and grab some stuff to take with you. But yeah, you have to leave your stuff behind. The police officer, as soon as he gets there, will say, talk to the rent seeker, and the rent seeker will say, yes, I told them to leave, and then they are duty bound to remove you from the property. They are not duty bound to give you time either. So if this happens, you literally have no protections. You cannot go to the resident. You cannot go to the landlord tenant board. You have to take it to small claims court. This means taking it to small claims court to get your possessions back. And the rent seeker does not legally have to hold your possessions, so they can, as soon as they get you out, they can start throwing your stuff out as well. Um, this also means that, again, you're going to court. So going to small claims court, you can go for the following reasons. You can either go to sue to get your stuff back, or for you to be reimbursed for your possessions. You can also probably will have to go to get your last month's rent back if you've paid last month's rent, as well as any prorated rent, meaning that if you're kicked out anytime before your next rent due date, they have to go back and basically uh, divide your rent into 31 days or 30 or 28, 29, depending on, of course, if it's a leap year in February, or the month is, if it's 31 or 30 days, then they have to divide that and then add up that divided number by the number of days, or time, multiply them by the number of days that you have left on that rental period. Uh, so yeah, you are not covered under privacy laws. A rent seeker can walk into your room at any time. Um, you know, they can do inspections at any time. They don't have to give you any notice. Whereas with a protected under the RTA rental, they would have to give you 24 hours written notice with the reason and a narrowed down time frame. They are allowed to enter between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. But again, a rent seeker in shared accommodations can walk in and be on you at 1 o'clock in the morning. They can walk. They can walk in to do. They don't even have to knock. They can walk in and do an inspection. Um, Obviously, repairs aren't covered. If anything needs to be fixed, um, um, and then sorry, that's my phone. I'm ignoring it. Uh, so, and it's distracting me. Sorry. Okay, so those are the two big things. Um, you're responsible. Other things that can be included in them. They can restrict your access to the house. They can say you only have access to the room and basically a pathway directly from the entrance to your room and your room to the entrance, which means that they can dictate use of bathroom or kitchen, and it's still covered even though you're technically not sharing it because you're not allowed to use it. You can be yeah. They can simply provide you with well, they don't even have to provide you with anything. I'm seeing a lot of ads now that are um, you're not allowed to use the kitchen and you must use tiffin services, which I assume would also mean that you're allowed to use other takeout services. But if you're on supports, this isn't viable for you. You're already paying $500, $600 in rent for Ontario Works. Your maximum is uh, 648, 659, sorry, 659 for your total, not just for your rent, but your total for your shelter and your basic needs, your food, your groceries, your cleaning supplies, your self-care supplies. Um, so obviously, this type of service is not affordable for people that are on. Sometimes they'll provide you with a hot plate, which is illegal to have in a bedroom, or a microwave. And again, uh, meals that you would put in the microwave are fairly expensive. You can get the dollar store cheap or the store brand dollar pastas, frozen pastas, obviously. Um, but for people in special diets, obviously who have gluten allergies, who have are diabetic, or any other type of diet, be it medical diet or diet based on your beliefs, your religion, and yeah. So that would be another one that's a problem. So and it can be so yeah. So owner's consent. Back to this. Can be evicted at any time without notice. The exception is if a tenant enters into an oral or written agreement with the owner and breaks the agreement by forcing the tenant to move out early or disposes of the tenant's property. In both instances, can go to small claims court. But again, you have to leave. Even if you have an agreement, written agreement, either a contract, a roommate agreement, or whatever, you still have to leave. You just have the right to go to small claims court. And you have the right to go to small claims court even if you don't have that, if they're keeping, your rents or whatever. Um, if a tenant is evicted and the owner refuses to return the tenant's personal property, the tenant should call the police, a local legal aid clinic, and be able to get additional information. about tenancies not covered under. Okay, so yeah. So those are the basic um, big issues with shared accommodations with not being covered the with the Residential Tenancies Act. So the does not apply uh, and is exempt from the Human Rights Code, the Ontario Human Rights Code, meaning that landlords can openly discriminate against the protected classes that are protected under the Human Rights Code, including sex, sexuality, your gender identity, your gender expression. So that means they can discriminate against you if you're a man, if you're a woman, um, if you're transgender, if you're non-binary, or if you just don't present as what's traditionally considered the presentation of your assigned gender at birth. So um, other things, religion is a big one. There's a lot of housing out there, and I'm specifically calling this out because um, these are the two main ones that I see most often. I'm not centering out a religion or religions. I don't have any biases against them. I have a bias against all religions. Period. Um, but I see mainly a lot of ads for Punjabi only, as well as Hindi only, um, as well as from uh, the uh, like regions such as Pakistan and so on and so forth. Um, you can also be discriminated against your source of income. Your source of income is protected under the Ontario Human Rights Code for housing and other things, but again, not under shared accommodations. So, again, so that means if you're on any sort of supports such as Canada Pension Plan, CPP, CPPD, which is Canada Pension Plan Disability, Ontario Works, which is welfare, and Ontario Disability Support Program, or ODSP, which is obviously disability support, EI, or, any sort of supports. Um, they can dictate, you know, working person only. They can dictate your relationship status in terms of, if it, yeah, just relationship status, period. Which I kind of understand. If it's a small room, you don't want a family living in a room. Um, but again, that would be covered under municipal bylaws or local bylaws, such as um, the the maximum occupancy bylaw. Um, so other things, yeah. So that's really basically about the major issues with discrimination and protections. So we're gonna go over trends that are happening. So one of the biggest new trends is sharing is sharing rooms. And I'm going to bring up, this is the first maybe half page of the first page of Kijiji for Toronto rentals within my price range. Okay, so I haven't gone over, I'm saying $450. That gives me about $150 left for my basic needs. Okay, so the first one comes up. Room for rent on sharing for girls immediately available, 450. This is in Mississauga. So you see 2 beds. Newly renovated sharing room available for 2 females who prefer quiet, clean environment, and peaceful ambience, just to enjoy, just opposite Westwood Mall and bus terminal, immediately available. Working women preferable. This is not a basement. Laundry and kitchen is shared. $450 per person. So that's for one room. That's $900 that they're making in free rent, in free money. That's free money. Uh, so this one I'm assuming is for 2 people who know each other who are wanting to share a place together already. So yeah. Okay, so this is the second. Literally, I just opened the tabs in order. Sharing luxury room available immediately. Girls only. And most of the time, when they say girls only, it's really, to me, it's really creepy. Especially if you get a name that is clearly a traditionally masculine name or man's name. But it could be for a family. But yeah, so Brampton, upstairs sharing bedroom for students or professional girls, females only. So he's just a big plaza bus stop. Note: rooms are available strictly, no smoking, no alcohol, no parties, and no guests. So again, this is something that's not covered under the Residential Tenancies Act. That for shared accommodations, that is covered under the um, Residential Tenancies Act for self-contained units. No smoking is you have the ability to say no smoking in a self-contained unit, but the landlord cannot dictate no parties, no pets, no guests. Um, that goes against reasonable enjoyment of your unit, as long as you're not interfering with the enjoyment of other people. Or okay, so yeah, and again, they're offering it for girls only, $450 for each girl. So again, that's $900 free rent for them. Or you can rent it as a single person, but it's $700. So again, that's another thing that's happening is the pricing out of people who are on support. So that make it just high enough that somebody on supports can't afford it. Master suite close to square one for rent. Oh, this is $50 a night. This is okay. Yeah. So this is very short term, basically Airbnb style rental. Uh, $35 a night, $40 a night in the description, and it's the same place. So either it's a different room or he's just posting different prices. Room for rent 400, girls only. Looking for a roommate to share a room with a Punjabi girl. So yeah, Punjabi, airport, Castle Moore, grocery stores, advance rent in advance must be paid first and last month. So yeah, this one looks like you're gonna be sharing with a complete stranger. So that's the other issue, is um, they're renting out rooms that already have a tenant in them that they want you to rent with somebody you don't know, and leave your possessions in that situation where you don't know that person, and that person may be the most honest person in the world, who would never steal from anybody, who would never even swat a fly, or They could be Walter White, for all you know. Now, is something like that drastic going to be? No, it probably won't be. But again, you're going to be living with a complete stranger. Yes, you probably will eventually get to know them, but you're starting out living with a stranger in a single room, which is already a problem. You're living with a stranger renting if you're renting shared space. Period. 400 men only, and this is my issue. Is when they say women only, usually they aren't inclusive of trans folks. So when they're saying men only or women only, they're saying cis only, so person who identifies as the gender or sex they were assigned at birth. Um, and since I don't obviously don't fall under male, I don't fall under cis female. That's one of the big problems for me. Okay, I'm just going to give you a few more here. 3-bedroom basement for rent. Oh, this is for a bedroom apart for 3 bedrooms. So we're going to quickly go over this as a separate unit. Indians preferred violation. That's a violation of the Ontario Human Rights Code because this is protected under the Ontario Human Rights Code as well as the Residential Tenancies Act, since it's not shared accommodations. You can't dictate race, religion, color, creed, etc. And it's also miscategorized. Furnished rooms sharing or private main floor, females, Malton. Furnished bedrooms from September or October, sharing private occupation, queen bed or separate bed space for one, two or three friends, female house. Okay, so you get the picture there. I've also seen shared rooms with strangers where it is a single bed and you're expected to share your bed with a complete stranger. I don't think I have any up here, but they are. So okay, so this is a 450 girls only, available immediately. Brampton, professional girls, great location, big plaza bus stop. So this is just a repeat of an ad that we've already covered. Room for boys in Brampton, boys only, 400, sharing, Indians preferred. Room for rent, 350 in Brampton, Indian students, boys only. And that's another thing, students, because they only want temporary rentals, or they want people that might not be aware of any rights that they might have. So yeah. Which is kind of why we are existing. Look at this. Look at this room. Room 350 in Brampton. You get a mattress and that's it. And look at how gross that mattress looks. And look at the wall. Look at this wall here. It might just be the shading, but it looks nasty to me. For men, Indians preferred. It's the same guy, just a different room. Room for female in Malton on sharing. Rent includes. Available from, see, again, it's all sharing so far. Or they have the option of private, but it's more expensive. So, room for rent for Brampton. Only female can contact. Working female prefer. Two can be considered. $6.50 for one female. $4.25. So $8.50 for two. No parking. Call. Near City Center, which is Bramalea, Brampton, from September 1st, 400. Looks like no picture at all. One sharing room available for two girls only from September 1st. 400 each. Sharing or 600 single occupancy. Again, $800. People who are renting rooms, it's literally free rent. It's literally free money for them. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to provide you with anything. They don't have to do maintenance. They just have to collect the rent. One room for two girls. Girls only. From September 1st, two rooms in a private basement for rent in Moulton Westwood area, which is Mississauga, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know. Very close to Moulton. I know exactly where this is. I have a good friend that lives in the condo style apartments right behind Westwood Mall, and I used to live in them myself. Really expensive, really shitty, really shitty property management and owners. Uh, the places, even though they look good from the outside, some of them are pretty much falling apart. They'll do like some cosmetic renovations and do renovations. That's going to get them tax credits, but other than that, they won't do anything else. So Molten, two rooms, furnished rooms, Wi-Fi, room available for sharing only. No private rooms. So $375 a person, and you have no idea how many people are going to be in the room. So that's at least $750. And we got two more to cover here, so we might as well just cover them out. And again, looks like there may be three beds. No, that's two beds, okay? Two beds. One looks like a twin. One looks like it might be a double twin or queen. Basement apartment rent is for sharing. $350 a single room. $500 for women, all for female only. And then the final one, room for rent to share, girls only, $375. So again, $750. Furnished, shared basement for rent in all girls accommodation. So this would be something that's a little different. Um, stuff like where it's all a single gender in a shared space. Also would fall under the ability to discriminate in any situation, whether or not you're living with your rent seeker or not. If it's a rooming house where again the rent seeker does not live with you. So yeah, and so those are the two big trends um, that are happening. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found this informative. If you want to fight for housing rights for people in shared accommodations, please join our Facebook group. Please support us on Patreon. We are starting to work more towards advocacy and fighting for rights, and not just running the channel and running the Facebook group. We want to tell people stories. If you have a horror story dealing with a scum landlord, a slumlord, or whatever, again, join us over on Facebook. You can share your story there. We'd love to share your story on video, on live stream, here on Facebook as well. If you're interested, send me a message here as well. So yeah, the big thing, I'm planning, when she gets back. My MPP is Jessica Bell, NDP. I will be sitting down for a video conference with her. I haven't set up a date or time yet, but I did contact her office regarding housing and regarding stuff such as shared accommodations, the discrimination that occurs, the discrimination for trans and queer people for housing in general. We want to try to fight more towards getting protections for trans and queer folk a little bit more enshrined into housing protections. So whatever you can afford, we'd love to, love for you to support us. We do have some offers on there. Most of it is for stuff like bonus content, exclusive Q&As and stuff like that. So for now, I'm Aaron Crane once again saying rent is not due, and stay safe in your housing hunt. Fight for your rights, and I guess I should have said fight for yours and stay safe. Anyway, we'll talk another time. We're going to restart up everything once again, going over forums, how to fill them out and stuff like that, as well as other things on the channel. So just like, subscribe, ring that bell, as all YouTubers say.